So implementation this week was a build out for Zoho CRM around filtering product selections that are available to users using field data. And this was built out by Lucas and Eduardo or Eddie on the Zenatta team. So kind of the goal here for this particular client, the types of leads that they're working with, you can think more that they're selling a service, not a product. So it's called products because that's the products module. But it's really a scenario where when a lead comes in, we're going to choose one applicable product for them. And then that's going to be the kind of structure and pricing for their engagement. And so the trick was kind of the customer's request is, hey, we're going to go through and ask them these set of questions, right? And capture qualification data. What's your budget? How quickly do you need this done? You know, an understanding of the pain points we're looking to solve. Then using that data that we've gathered from the lead, they wanted to make sure that their sales team, whether they're an experienced veteran at the company or someone on their first day selling, is going to be able to choose appropriate products based on that qualification info to, send quotes or propose that particular lead. Important thing about this is that we really wanted to do it in a way where it captures it while they're filling out the record. So we landed on doing it for a client script or doing it with a client script rather than Deluge. So for those that don't use a lot of client scripts, they're actually run in your browser using JavaScript rather than on, Zoho servers, which means they can happen instantly as you're like filling out a lead or filling out qualification fields within a particular lead. One of the really cool things that client scripts can do is actually filter the available options in a lookup field. And so a lot of the times, like we'll do this in a simple way. So let's say you have like a custom module and it links to an account and it has a contact lookup. A really simple use of this type of client script would be to say, hey, only show contacts that are in the account that's selected for this particular custom module entry. In this case, there were more like 5 parameters. And based on a logical matrix of those 5 parameters and what was chosen there, we want to surface a subset of the products that can be actually, relevant for that particular lead. So we did that with the client script so that nothing ever goes out incorrectly because it'll actually stop you. It won't even allow you to pick the incorrect product. So essentially, as they're going through, filling out this qualification data, all that data is getting aggregated into that lead record. And it's essentially filtering on the back end that product's lookup field. By the time they get to the products lookup field in that kind of intake flow, they've already filled everything in. So when they click that drop down, you can imagine maybe there are 100 products in total. Now, because of those field selections, there's only going to be 7 because those 7 are applicable for all of those choices that were made earlier in that intake process. So definitely one of those tools, client scripts, that we're finding just more and more use for. I mean, just the ability to filter a lookup field in broad strokes, right, is just very, very useful. And being able to do it dynamically as like a user is filling out data just makes for a workflow that ideally doesn't frustrate users. Because the last thing you want is for them to go through the whole thing, pick the product, like imagine they haven't saved yet, right? So they pick the product, they tell the customer they're going to use that product, they click save, and now the system unselects it or, notifies them that it's not applicable. For some of these cases where you're filling something out while you're talking to someone, you got to do it with a client script so that everything stays up to date.
Super slick. What was the implementation time on this, do you think?
Not super long. I mean, it varies based on like how complicated your conditions are. This one was a little longer than normal because there were 5 and it wasn't like, it's not like each one just filtered out a set. It was like different combinations of them kind of had different outcomes. So it ranges, but it's in the range of like 1 hour to a couple hours generally for something like this. As we've gotten as client scripts get more mature and we've documented more kind of like quick solves for ourselves, the timeline to implement them is coming down.
Very cool. All right. Fantastic job, Lucas and Eduardo.